What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Derek D. Wyman. Today, I'm going over a game between two of the strongest African American chess players in the country. I'm talking about Fide Master Norman Rogers out of Philadelphia, Philadelphia, and John Brooks from Detroit, Michigan. A lot of people know Norman Rogers from the chess scene, probably more because he reached the title of Fide Master, but a lot of people don't know about John Brooks. Excuse me. John Brooks is one of the strongest players probably ever to come out of Detroit ever. He's been arguably the best player in Detroit for the last 50 years. This is an old game played in 1992 from the U.S. Open in Dearborn, where it was held in Michigan. I'm going to take my time, go over, get my thoughts about it. I hope you enjoy. As you can see, Norman Rogers played the white pieces. John Brooks played the black pieces. The game started off with E4. C5, knight F3, E6. As you can see, we getting a typical Sicilian defense. Just to give you some backstory on John Brooks, if you're familiar with him in the Detroit area, you know John Brooks, probably the weakest part of his game is his opening theory and his opening prep. So to see him play a strong opening like the Sicilian back in, his kind of younger days, show you that he was ready for, a fight and play aggressively. D4, which is the open Sicilian, C8, D4, knight X, D4, knight F6, knight C3, bishop B4. Typical Sicilian line, bishop B4, as you can see, puts pressure on the knight, immediately putting pressure on the E4 pawn. So white got to play correctly, or it could get, kind of tricky very early. Norman Rogers played knight B D5, which is a good move, protecting this knight. Also, this D6 square is kind of weak, as you can see. If knight X E4 is played, white can play queen G4, and then the game gets very, very, very wild. So, after knight B D5, John played D5, and like I said, he plays this a lot, especially like in blitz and speed games. It's kind of like Sicilian / French. I don't know what to call it, but he plays it a lot. So he immediately strikes the center. Bishop F4, develop a piece. As you can see, he has a bishop on this diagonal. Maybe a knight can jump in. Excuse me. To C7. To C7. Hitting the rook here. John castles. White can play knight C7 and win the rook, but I don't think it's possible because of the lead of development. And he got threats too. Maybe if knight C7 was to be played, you probably could get knight X E4, knight X A8, knight E4 takes C3, hitting the queen, and it's gonna get crazy. Bishop X C3, Bishop X C3 check. Get the knight, then you could probably win this knight. So the game had a possibility to get very, very wild, but it didn't go that way. So after he castled, bishop C7 was played by Fide Master Norman Rogers. John went queen D7, E5. E5 was played. John played knight E8 instead of knight E4. I guess he wanted this bishop out his way. Bishop X B8, rook X B8, H3. To be honest with you, just give you an honest opinion, I don't understand the move. John went bishop A5, bishop D3, A6, kick the knight out, knight D4, queen C7. Queen C7, which I think is a beautiful move because he's hitting this pawn. He's putting pressure on this knight with the pin. So white got a lot of threats. He has to solve, and I don't think he can solve all of them in one move. So I think John's going to go up material, even if it's a pawn. Knight F3, bishop X C3, BX C3, queen C3, and John's up a pawn. You cannot play queen D2 because I could take the rook. If you play king E2, it's kind of sketchy, kind of like leaving your king kind of in the center board. So king F1. Now take some time to look at the position. John is castled. He got the better pawn structure, and he's up a pawn. Fide Master Norman Rogers not castled. Rook's not active. This pawn probably can be won by black, so I prefer black in this position. H6, G4, maybe G4 is played to probably get attacked, get G5 in, H4. John played F6, which I think is a good move. which I think is a good move. If he captures, open up the file, getting this rook file open on the same file as the king. So I think that's a good move. Queen E1, Queen X E1, Rook X E1, Bishop D7. Just developing the piece. It wasn't doing nothing. Just get it active into the game. H4, Norman Rogers continue. The only thing I can see with this setup is probably like G5, getting a breakthrough, and you got the bishop. You know what I'm saying? And the rook going that way. Knight C7, EX F6, GX F6, G5, E5, fighting for the center, also threatening the fork. GX F6, E4. Norman Rogers gave him this, Knight E5, which is a good move. Threatening the bishop. John plays Bishop E8, and Bishop E8 is a good move because it holds F7, G6, all that. Rook H8, G1 check, King H8, and look at the position. It then went from like black clearly winning to black having like a slight advantage. So Norman Rogers really fought back in this game. F7 was played, Bishop F7, Knight D7, attacking both rooks. John took, he took back, rook still being attacked, Knight E6, Rook E5, hitting this pawn, rook still being forked, but the position, the engine prefers black, Rook D8, Knight X F8, Knight X F8. Now we got a position where it's two pieces versus a rook. This pawn kind of weak, this pawn kind of weak, this pawn, this pawn. I still prefer black, and it's kind of going to be hard for white to win this position, but fight it out. H5 was played, Rook D7, Rook F5, King H7, Rook F6, Rook E7, D4, Knight E6, hitting this weak pawn right here on D4. Rook G4. Now this rook is kind of becoming passive because he got to hold this pawn. Bishop H5. That was told to me, the more weaknesses you can create for your opponent, the easier his position is going to crumble, and the easier your plan is going to be. Rook H4. Now if the bishop moves, he can get this pawn. Bishop G6, but John found this in between move, cutting off the communication, as you can see. King G1, King G7. Hitting the rook again. Rook F3, Knight G5, threatening the rook. Might put the knight on E4. Rook B7, B3, B5, cutting the thread off of Rook B7. Rook G4, Bishop F5, Rook G3, Rook E1 check, King G2, King F6. As you can see, like I say in chess, if all Mr. Brooks' pieces is going forward, coming closer to the king, and all white pieces are kind of at a standstill, kind of passive, and not really much doing nothing, and I don't see pretty much white having a plan. But Mr. Norman Rogers kept fighting. Rook C3, Rook E6. John's making sure white gets no play. I guess he was trying to play Rook E6 check. Cut all that off. Rook C7. H5, F4, Knight F7, Rook G8, H4, Rook F8, Bishop G6, King H3, King G7, cut more squares off to the rook, Rook A8, Bishop F5 check, King H4, Rook E4, setting up a mate threat. If he gets Rook H3 in, it's a mate threat, checkmate, because the king can't step to G5, and it's over. Rook F7, had to give up the exchange. Let's see, can he stop that? That was force. That looked like his force. I don't see nothing white can do to get out that mate threat. So Rook F7, King F7, game pretty much over. King G5, Bishop D7, Rook A6. Still fighting. Rook G3 check. King H5, King E7, Rook A5, King F6, Rook A6, Bishop E6, F5, King X F5. And with that, Mr. Norman Rogers won. Let's go back to, I think, what was a key position in that game, and let's kind of look and analyze and see where we think White kind of went wrong. So let's go back to right here. My bad. I gotta go back. Let's go back to about right here when the queens was traded. Okay, once the queens get traded, it favors Black. Bishop D7 was okay. H4 was okay. Knight C7, EX F6, GX F6, G5, E5, GX F6, E4, Knight E5, White's okay. Bishop E8, Rook G1, King H8, Knight G6 is what the engine recommends. Knight G6 check, and I guess let's look at it. Let's just look at it. Knight G6 check, Bishop X G6, Rook X G6, EX D3. We just going over line check, King G7, Rook E7. And with that move, it looked like he gives White, look at it, Rook F7, here, check, King F6, here. Tough position. It still favors Black, but it looks better than what was played in the game. Let's go back here again. Bishop D7, Rook G1, King H8, F7. Let's look at this position again. So maybe Knight G6, according to the engine. Let's go look to another line. F7, Bishop F7, Bishop E2 is what the engine suggested. Knight D7, EX D3. So right here, Knight D7, I think this is the critical point of the game. When Knight D7 is played, just bring the bishop back and keep on playing. So Knight D7, EX D3, EX, CX D3, Knight E6, Rook E5. So right here, this is the critical position. Knight E5. And when Mr. Brooks played Bishop E8, the engine recognizes Rook G1 as the key move that kind of like holds the position to keep it kind of content. So Rook G1 was correct. King H8, and this is where the key moment of the game where I feel like, and the engine feel like, White kind of got lost and went astray. As you can see, Knight G6 is the top line. Knight G6. F7 was played by Norman Rogers. Bishop F7. Knight D7. I guess he figured he could grab the exchange. But that's like clearly losing almost up to 2 points. So F7, Bishop F7. What's another move? Bishop E2 maybe. Bishop E2. Bishop E2. So pretty much what happened was, for me looking at it, F7 was played, a pawn sacrifice. So he already got one pawn. Knight D7 was played. Then he took the bishop. He took back. So F7 was the key critical position for Fide Master Norman Rogers, where he kind of lost steam and gave up like a decisive advantage to Black. Knight G6 looks like the safest move. This is your boy Derek D. Wildman. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe. Leave your comments. Check it out. Tell me what you think. Have a blessed day. Good people, good vibes. Thanks.